And that's a stress to me on just a small scale. But for someone like yourself who operates something as big as Dark Horse, what is it like being censored, and how have you navigated that, if that is even, something you can begin to explain?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, Joe has a policy. He doesn't look at the comments. It's not to say he never sees a comment, but he doesn't look at the comments. And there's a reason for that. And that's because it would be almost impossible to take that information in and process the part one Odyssey without processing the part that's counterproductive. I would say I have something like this policy with respect to the shenanigans that exist inside the platforms that adjust things like the algorithms that direct people towards or away from our videos. I can't pay terribly close attention, right? I have to look at something outside that, and I have to judge whether or not the people I meet when I travel, whether the comments that I see, and I do look at comments, not all of them, but I look at them, whether those indicate that the messages that we are attempting to put out are actually reaching people. And, if I look at our YouTube numbers, they've been utterly stagnant. And they've been stagnant since YouTube demonetized our channel, which was a tremendous financial hit for the family. It knocked out more than half of our income in a matter of an hour. But basically, I think the thing is, you need some kind of a North Star or a stand-in for it. And it's really rather like what happens to the platforms when they plug too directly into the market. If you plug too directly into their algorithm and you start monitoring what it says about your effect, it'll drive you crazy. And maybe that's part of the purpose. So one needs a thick skin, and one needs to find proxies that indicate something about your effect in the world that are not under the control of those who would prefer to declare you a source of misinformation and drive you into the sea.
What does, obviously you mentioned there that you had the monetization just taken from under you with no real warning, no real time to be prepared. Again, I don't think people realize the financial impact that has on people. As you mentioned there, is absolutely devastating. Where is the future of Dark Horse? Are you optimistic about the future? Where do you see this project going?
I'm optimistic. We've survived this long. YouTube, let's put it this way, but I believe they tried to pay us to self-censor. And the form that took is they demonetized us, which we couldn't help but notice. Suddenly half the family income is gone. And they gave us a path to regaining it, which was effectively agree not to talk about certain things. And we didn't take it, and they have refused to remonetize us, and that's the state of things. But what happened then is that our audience rallied, and they weren't able to approach the kind of resources that YouTube had been paying us, Dark Horse was rapidly growing. So yeah, the amount of money that we lost was not something that had been long-standing. It was something that had just begun to skyrocket. But our audience rallied, and they've kept us on the air, and they've effectively freed us from YouTube's control. And let us hope that people understand where their interests lie, that to the extent, that we get dozens of contacts a week telling us, hey, I'm out here somewhere in the world and your podcast is a reality check for me and I don't know where I'd be without it. To the extent that it's providing that service, it would be bad for people. I think it would be even psychologically bad for many people if it suddenly disappeared. And what that means is that you need to think about not letting it happen. You don't want to just gamble on the fact that because it's been on, that it will continue to be on. What happened to Joe is a cautionary tale. Even the most uncancelable might be subject to some kind of dynamics based on what platform they're on or what kind of nonsense can be stirred up around them. So people need to be more active. They need to protect that which is actually working in their interests.